Leaving the sealskins piled in a bloody heap, Captain Meehan led us back over ice that seemed even more dangerous than before. The ice holes were more frequent and larger, while the crevices and chasms seemed wider and harder to see through snow that drove horizontally across the terrible landscape. "I hope Max is all right, eh?" Pratt had to shout over the scream of the wind. I kept my head down, uncaring of anybody else's suffering. Amidst the howling gale and the veil of snow, I could not think about Mackie. I could only concentrate on the next step, following the shape of the man in front and hoping that Captain Milne was leading us in the right direction. Narrowing my eyes, I peered into the hypnotic vortex of snow that disappeared into the distance. It felt as if I was staring down a long tunnel edged with a maelstrom of white flakes that spun and moved and enticed me on, while the wind thumped my back, pushing me endlessly into oblivion. "Doctor!" I was suddenly aware that Pratt was shouting in my ear and tugging at me. "It's this way." We had altered our route to avoid a new crevasse, but with my sense of direction completely lost in the snow, I allowed Pratt to guide me. I slogged on, miserable, hating everything, with my mind almost supine. I nodded as Pratt helped me around an ice hole, slipped, swore, and nearly fell as we crested a hummock and negotiated the other side. Why had I ever come out here? This world was composed entirely on ice and snow, of misery and fear. Why had I left Dundee? "There she is, Doctor. There's the old lady Bulgay." The sight of the catch was like the light of salvation. She sat there, her mast alternatively appearing and disappearing as the snow shifted direction, but a black hole remained a smudge of sanity in this frigid white nothingness. "Thank God," I said, and meant it. Now I understood something of the feeling seamen could have for the ship. Lady Bulgay was not just a place of safety and warmth. She also represented familiarity, hope, home, and comradeship. "But where's Mackie?" Screwing up his eyes against the stinging snow, Pratt looked over his shoulder. "I haven't seen him for a while." He counted the men. "Ah, everybody's here save Mackie." Captain Milne cursed. "I told the fool not to go back." He excused himself. "I should have known better, but he's an experienced man. He'll be all right." "I could go and look for him," Pratt volunteered, but Captain Milne snorted. "Then I'd be two fools short, and not just one. Get on board, Pratt." Donaldson was waiting for us with hot coffee and a strange smile, and I was glad to feel the planking of Lady Bulgay under my nearly numb feet again. Sheltering behind the funnel, his business smiled to everybody, but it was Tori she welcomed with a broad wink and the sensual swing of her hips that had the fireman's mouth dropping. "Where's Max?" Donaldson asked. He peered into the whirling snow. "I bet he's killing one last seal." "He's coming," Tom said and paused. "We hope." "Hope?" Donaldson stared at him. "What do you mean, hope?" "He lagged behind a bit," Tom's explained. "As you said, trying for one last seal." "And y'all left him?" Donaldson's voice rose. "Out there?" He pointed northwards, where the snow was blasted in intermittent violent flurries. So one moment visibility was virtually nil, and then the ice was abruptly clear for half a mile. Now we were safe on board. We shared the general shame at having left Mackie behind, so we lined the rail and peered into the ice, searching and calling for our missing colleague. "There he is!" Tom's was first to see the dark figure emerging from the white haze, and everybody cheered. Mackie was not the most popular man on board, but he was one of us, a skilled hunter, and a man who shared their hardships and triumphs. At that distance he looked tiny, an insignificant figure, belligerently thrusting homeward, with his rifle balanced on his shoulder and his head held low. "Who's that with him?" his mistress said quietly. She stood between me and Tori, erect in her furs. "He's not alone."